What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, we got lots of different things to talk about. We're going to be talking about Square Enix hit with a brutal 100-slide presentation from one of their shareholders. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about what actually didn't attribute to any Warner Brothers game studios, right? So the Netflix didn't even take a part of what basically the gaming department is worthless to Netflix. They didn't even bring that up into the price at all. We're also going to talk about Star Wars prepares to replace The Force Awakens with a new episode. We'll talk about that. Not really too sure. Obviously, we get submitted stories, so we're going to cover these things. Then we also have a video from Bellier News talking about game prices are collapsing. Publishers were wrong. And then we're also going to watch a video from the real-life fake wizard talking about streaming killed theaters, storytelling, and entertainment. So all this on today's show. If you guys like what we do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Go to the merch store. You can also listen to our songs that we've created, not the Christmas stuff, but the actual other ones that we actually rewrote. So check those out. Over on Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, Apple Music, anywhere you can listen and download music, you can go check out those songs over there. All right, let's talk about first Arc Raiders. They finally showed. Before I even actually get to this, I forgot to say good morning. Good morning, Vision. What's going on? I'll turn Eclipse, Water Bear, Sarge. Good morning. Jesse Mack, good morning. Let's see. Altern, good morning. Robert Jones, Kylo, Mr. Z, what's going on? Good morning. You sup, girly gamers? Yesterday we did our first VR stream. I guess it was successful. At least it didn't fuck up too much, right? We played some walkabout golf yesterday. Altern joined us. It's cool. It's a little weird. I think the headset, because it's the old MetaQuest 2, it has like an hour time frame to cast, or it's at the end of every match. I think it happened like 4 times yesterday. We played like 5 or 6 matches. So it was like I think it was like every hour, basically. It would like cut off, and then I would have to restart the cast. But overall, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So morning, Wonder Rose. Albana, what's going on? Good morning. Copying Battlefield 6 temp mechanics. Temp mechanics. What do you think about the Larian game? Oh, you're talking about the Divinity, whatever? All right. So let's start talking about Arc Raiders. Big winter update is coming next week. Embark teases new temperature mechanic. Okay, new temperature mechanic. We've also, for some of the Arc Raiders, Cold Snap winter event was on the horizon, but now exactly is when it's happening according to Embark X post. The Cold Snap update arrives Tuesday, December 16th. According to Embark officials' Arc Raider roadmap, the Cold Snap update brings new map conditions called Snowfall and Flickering Flames event, a new Raider deck, basically a battle pass, new quests. Players have also speculated about exactly the Snowfall map conditions will entail. It's just the same maps, but with snow. Question mark. Okay, but a teaser, Imagine shared Embark today with Collapse Raider in the snow, suggesting the extreme temperatures will carry consequences. It looks like players might have to have a limited of their exposure to the elements to avoid freezing to death, or perhaps toss an incendiary grenade to warm up. Okay, what's the most obvious way to make heat factors is survival, but also wonder if Embark would also go even further. What if wearing warmer clothes like a fur jacket increase your heat resistance? That's instantly plunge Arc Raiders into the realm of pay-to-win cosmetics. So consider it unlikely, but it also would be interesting wrinkle. Okay, this is probably the closest Arc Raiders will come to holiday event fitting for a grim post-apocalyptic. It's also notable that the Cold Snap marks the end of Arc Raiders' current roadmap, and how the most exciting multiplayer shooter at the moment will evolve in 2026 is a mystery. So, that's what you were referring to when you were said that the mechanic. So here's the I don't know if it's copying Battlefield 6 temp mechanic. I think it's copying more of Division mechanic back in the day when they were doing the survival, which is actually coming back into Division 2, right? Now, It is interesting that they say something in here about the warm clothes and whatnot. I haven't seen the actual thing with them on the ground, and I'm sure they'll explain to us probably today or tomorrow what's happening next week. But the temperature thing, if they're doing what Division 1 did and what Division 2 is going to do, that's interesting. I mean, I actually like that. That's one of my favorite things in Division 1 was the survival going into the dark zone. Okay, like you would have to find the gear, get all the clothes so you're warm and not so you're not dying to the cold weather. Find the gear, then go into the dark zone and then try to extract, right? In this, it would be maybe find the stuff. Again, I don't know. Just going based off of what the article's saying. If they do something like that, maybe you find clothes during this event and it's keep warm and also find your stuff and extract another little bit. I don't know if that's going to happen. It'd be interesting to see if it happens that way, but who knows? Question to you guys is, would you like something like that? Is there a temperature mechanic where all of a sudden you're playing Arc Raiders and you love Arc Raiders as it is right now, but now they put a temperature mechanic in there where you have to run around and try to find certain gear like Division? Again, I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm asking you if they are doing something like Division. Okay, would you like that in Arc Raiders? Okay, personally, I think it would be something interesting. But then again, if it's only happening for this event, cool, right? So if they keep it in the game afterwards, so it's sort of like what they're doing now, like certain maps, you can go get certain loot. There's the night raids, there's certain loot drops and stuff that happen. So now there's another variant of Snowfall. But now they added a different mechanic with inside the Snowfall. Might be interesting. Change it up a little bit. Maybe people won't be as bloodthirsty to get someone or kill somebody because it's the same loot. But here's another thing. If it's the same loot as the other maps, which I don't think it will be, but if it's the same loot, maybe something else happens. Why would you pick the snow map over the regular map if there's a mechanic in there now that you die as you're running around? You know what I mean? Like if it's harder because you have to stay warm, and this is easier because it's no snow. What are the benefits of going into the snow raid besides seeing snow on the ground? You know what I mean? I don't know. Mr. Z says, haha, how does a jacket provide heat resistance? Are these riders drinking? It says, Eclipse says, I think it would also be cool if you could just make it on certain maps eventually. I think if it just did a little rotation, you know what I mean? Like the night raid's a rotation. The drop pods are a rotation. The Battleful fruit, whatever, is a rotation. I think it would just be a rotation, but it's like, why do I want to go into the winter stuff if it's the exact same loot pool as the other ones, you know? Altern says snow and throwing snowballs. That's it. I'm in, Altern. I'm in. Right? You can do snowball fights. I mean, obviously, this is going to be big for Instagram, YouTube Shorts, all that stuff. When the snow map comes in and people are doing certain things, maybe you can make a snowman. Maybe you can throw snowballs. Who knows? It is interesting, though. I'm just wondering, from a game mechanic point, right? What's going on, Dolphin? From a game mechanic point, what is the benefit of going into the snow map? Okay, and hear me out. Let's say the loot is better, like the night raids, but in the snow world. Okay, then no one will go play the other maps because the loot is just much better in the snow biome type of thing. You know what I mean? Mr. G says, haven't played it yet. Could you be surprised once you get topside that the temp has dropped? So you don't know, it's like random? That would be interesting. I don't know if they would do that, though, Z. Is that what you're saying? Like, it would just be random? Like, you click the map and you don't know if it's going to be? Jesse Max says it's cool, a couple of days, but players just play the normal mode. Right. If it was just the same, people would try it just to try it, Jesse, and then it'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to go back to the regular one. What's going on, Roadkill? Silver's up 108% this year. I knew it. Got to invest. Got to invest. Altern says you will trick the Ark with snow, with snowman, and kill them with snowballs. You're sitting there and you're making a snowman, and then it's like a decoy, and then the Ark starts shooting the snowman. Actually, that's actually sounds like a pretty good, pretty fun mechanic. Novelty, but still fun. Dolphin says, some guy revived me for the first time yesterday. I haven't played the game. I think the last time I played was with you, Dolphin, which is like over a week ago. I haven't played it in like a week. I've been after the morning streams, I've been doing the work, and then I come back and do the night stream, and then I pass out. I haven't played it. The funny part is my squad mate tried to kill him. And I lied and said I didn't know my friend. Roadkill says that they broke Battlefield 6, man. I can't even play half of the thing, and they have up there since its last update. Well, I don't know if you heard the song ahead of time, Roadkill, one of the Christmas songs. It said all patches most of the time make more bugs. Like, don't fix it. They just make more bugs. What's going on, Mo? He had the holiday spirit, otherwise you would have been a corpse. Ron Sletcher says, I'm still waiting for Concord in Portal, and the streak continues. I'm gonna have a little counter up here for you, Ron. It's like one of those work things, like 102 days consecutive without an incident. We're gonna have that for Ron. It'll be interesting to see if they do a mechanic like that for the heat resistance. I don't know if they will. To be honest. All right. Let's go to the next story, which is, let's go with Square Enix. Now, Waterbear submitted this to me. Oh, no, not Waterbear. Sorry. Travis submitted this to me. So I'm not sure what this is. I saw the title. I was like, okay, it's interesting. So I threw it in there. Let's talk about it. If you guys like what I do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay. Square Enix hit with a brutal 100-slide presentation from one of its shareholders about alleged mismanagement. Other shareholders asked to pitch in with frank views. Okay. So Square Enix has had a rough couple of years, combining $140 million in losses from abandoned projects and shine slowly fading from Final Fantasy XIV. Even if it does look like things are up again, are they? Does it look like it's up again for Ubisoft? And sluggish Final Fantasy sales across the board, its newer IPs haven't done great. Either remember Babylon Fall? No one does. Nobody does. You better, because it's the only it exists in your memory forever. Okay? It's almost enough to make me feel sad for a large company. Almost, you shouldn't do that. To see if you now, with a 100-slide presentation of its alleged mismanagement from its major shareholder, a 3D investment, which holds a 14.36% stake in the company, is now looking to get other shareholders on its side. Okay, as shared here by Business Wire, thanks to automation, 3D Investment states Square Enix has, in 3 years since being replaced its president, been facing the following management issues: a sluggish revenue growth rate and a sluggish profit margin. More recently, Square HD recorded massive impairment losses on the game's development assets with a lack of earning power, and Square Enix HD is also in very serious situation. This is exacerbated by the fact that shareholder argues that Square's medium-term business plan is a little thin on details. It says, quote, the plan does not present a concrete future vision. And under the slogan reboots, it appears effectively leaving unaddressed the management issues. The current medium-term business plan represents only extreme vague policies for resolving each problem, e.g., disappeared development, profile, poor platform selection, deficiency in product design, and contains no description of specific KPIs, okay, no targets or executive execution plan. Okay. The company also states that the efforts of communicate with Square Enix before 100 slides dunk were fruitful. President replied only with a brief email stating, without addressing any specific management issues or solution we had raised, without providing a concrete explanation, reasoning that the current medium-term business plan is sufficient with the new review framework was not necessary. He says, hence, banging the shareholders unite drum. Okay, I won't go through every single complaint in the 100-page slideshow, but it's a lot. In fairness, it does kick off the polite call to action, once again, surprise us, move us, ignite that passion we once felt for gamers across the globe. We've also been waiting endlessly for an irreplaceable experience. Okay. So inside the slideshow, it looks like 56 slides later, 3D Investment points out that some of the folks at Metacritic called Forspoken dialogue cringe. Okay. So new IP also have been harshly criticized. Forspoken, only worth $20 to $25 or skip it. Okay, bad cringe dialogue, bad protagonists, unlikable characters, bad acting, bad pacing, and mad generic story. Babylon Fall, action RPG. I'll be honest, I truly forgot about Babylon's Fall. Okay, what a dull and boring game. The mission was repetitive, cumbersome, combat feels clunky and unpolished. That was from Metacritic. And my favorite game that sucked so bad and it just didn't do very well. Marvel's Avengers. Okay, blatant towards continuous microtransactions. This game is so dull, it lacks charm and personality. The fact that it's a live service game really hurts the overall story, and the missions are extremely repetitive. At the end of abruptly, there's a lot of grinding as if it. First of all, you could name 12 games, 15 games right now that are very grindy, that do the exact same thing, repetitive, shooting the same things, but people are okay with that. Okay. It should be noted that 3D Investment, activist investors are known by reputation and action. They take the best interest in how the company is run, usually trying to lift underperforming companies up on the dirt and get them onto the up in the first started buying shares of Square Enix in April. Okay. Point being is, this isn't a sign of an investor to reach a breaking point as much as the activist investor doing. The activist investor sticking a finger into the pie. 3D Investment concludes in statement with the following call to fellow shareholders. It says, "We kindly ask all shareholders at Square Enix HD to read the presentation to share with us the frank views, okay, of strategy, capital allocations, business portfolio, governance, growth opportunities, and other related matters. We should be grateful to receive views from many shareholders as possible to convey the views of the board of directors at Square Enix HD to help resolve this mismanagement issues." Now, we always talk about management issues all the time. When everyone says that this game sucks or this thing this or this game's broke, I always talk about it. It's not the developers, it's the upper management that told them that this was good or this is bad or whatever it was, and it's a failure across the board. Okay. Time will tell. Enough pressure is placed on the president, maybe sweeping through Q&A testers, replacing them with AI to help the bottom line. Just, don't pay attention to the fact that we might be in a bubble. That stuff is probably fine. Okay. So Square Enix is having major issues with upper management. They're having with the company as a whole, developers, right? Games, the process of games, the regurgitation of repetitive stuff, of just making the same slop over and over and thinking it was going to change. They don't want to make good games anymore. They just want to make the same game with a new title or an old game, right? They're making Black Flag again. Instead of, obviously, they were supposed to make Black Flag 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But instead of doing that, they made Skull and Bones. And Skull and Bones was supposed to be a sequel, which then turned into its standalone game, which then got pushed back and over budgeted and over bloated and failure, right? They make other games like Pandora, right? The Avatar game, or Outlaws, right? They take the same recipe that they did in other games and just put the brand on there and try to sell it as a brand new game, but it's the same stuff over and over. Okay. So it is what it is. That's what Square Enix. Square Enix is in a bad spot, right? Zero creativity, as Sarge says in chat. Okay. It's just the minimal viable product. They put out the bare minimum of what they want to do and go, oh yeah, well, this sold back in 2009. So it's the same recipe. And gamers have changed. The industry has changed. We don't want the same stuff. And I've always said that if you're going to hit a bar, right, you can hit the bar and you don't have to overshoot it and give us all these like brand new mechanics and whatnot, but you should at least hit the bar that you set back here and then just go a little bit more, right? So if that is graphically, if that's game mechanic wise, is that structuring what the NPCs do to make them smarter, quests, the way they do quests, something, change up the thing instead of doing the bare minimal viable product and try to send it out there. And upper management has to change. A lot of these people that got in the industry are not gamers. They manage people, but they manage people poorly. They don't understand the actual creativity side. They just understand the business side. And you can see that it's a disaster. Something has to change at Square Enix. So we'll see what happens if the shareholders start to get this around and the shareholders actually revolt, I guess, against what the company is actually doing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think Square Enix in the next, I don't know, it's going to take 5 years, right? Whatever game they're working on right now, if they want to make a change, it's going to change 5 years from now. It's not going to change next year. It's not going to change the year after. Okay. Square Enix is the guys that think that nobody wants single player games. Square Enix thinks that everybody wants AI type of stuff. They're completely delusional of what everyone else wants in the industry, right? They look at what's happening in the industry and they're like, let's do the opposite, which is just crazy to me. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think Square Enix can change this, come back to reality within the next 4 to 5 years? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Clip says, good old modern gaming. It did the same thing for me for Warhammer Dark Tide. Now it's fixed. But when it came out, it was broke. It was broke it for me. Yeah. Square Enix didn't have the Final Fantasy. They also more screwed than they already are. They basically keeping them alive at this point. And we looked at the sales of Final Fantasy, and they're not very good, Water. They're not very good. We looked at it, I want to say the beginning of this year. The clip says, I'm sorry, but the Western Square Enix games are ass. Waterbear says the thing that the Avengers, it was broken and buggy, and they stopped adding content to it, meaningful content. Why? Because they've broken bugs in the game. It had promise, though. Yeah. They put that game out way before it was ready, and then they just kind of tagged us along. I mean, you saw it live. You were here, Water, right? Every time they had a live stream, in the very beginning, when the game first came out, I was very vocal. They read my chat inside of the actual thing. Then I played the game. I became a little bit more upset because the game was broke, buggy. Like, I couldn't finish the game. I couldn't finish the single-player game for 14 days. I asked questions, and they stopped answering those questions, and then they would kind of, deflect them and say, oh, we'll pass it along. We'll pass it along. We'll pass it along. Right? And then they just stopped responding to my questions. Right? And then I just got less and less. And I was like, yeah, this game's done. But I liked it, but it was bad. Robert Jones says Square Enix has no one wants single-player games. That's crazy coming from them. Right? Ridiculous. Jax, what's going on, Jax? Says Square is probably in the rebuilding phase with too many bad management decisions. They may have to adjust on how they do things. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Do we think in 5 years, when that next game in 5 years, whatever game comes out within the 5 years, is still going to have the same problems? Are they going to have in 5 years, are they going to be able to make a comeback with that, whatever that game is 5 years from now? Will they understand what the hell's going on in the industry? Go on, Stealth. Barber says the live streams for Avengers were hilarious. They just were deflecting all the time. They just deflected. We'll pass it along. I'll have to ask that question. Like, they're the devs. They're the devs, and they're like, we're going to have to see if, how that's going to work. I'm not really too sure. I'll pass it along to the other guys. Like, you're the person running the goddamn company. But they don't want to, they couldn't say anything. Because if they said anything of, we have no plans for that, they'd be like, done. We're not going to play the game anymore. We got big plans coming out. We got that Black Panther thing coming out. Then they just kind of like, at the very end, they kind of threw in Hawkeye. Right? And then what was the other one? Oh, Winter Soldier. I forgot Winter Soldier was there. Right? They threw him in at the end. They're like, all right, see you later. Here's the last guy. And I forgot they also put Mighty Thor in the game, didn't they? Didn't they have Mighty Thor in the game? See, I forget. At the very end, they just kind of tossed a bunch of characters in at the very end. With no didn't change anything else. They just kind of just threw 2 or 3 characters in at the very end. There was the Black Panther, there was Mighty Thor, there was Winter Soldier. Big plans coming soon. It was so funny. We had a bingo card. That was fun when we did the bingo thing. Then other people started doing the bingo thing. So ridiculous. Yes. Winter Soldier was everyone's Spider-Man. Yeah. So it's what a sad time. You know what though? We talk about that game because the foundation was good. It was just poorly executed. Right? It was poorly executed. If they didn't make it, I'll be honest, if they made that game, if it looked like Marvel Rivals and did the missions the same, think about this for a second. We've talked about this in the past. Just take Marvel's Avengers, take the art design of Marvel Rivals, put it on Marvel's Avengers. Does that game right now, still as is, I just bit my tongue, same exact game. Marvel's Avengers, okay? Marvel's Avengers, the exact same style of game with the grabbing the gear to put on your character, okay? But if it looked like Marvel Rivals, do you think that game would be alive today? No change. You're still fighting the same guys. You're still doing the exact same thing, but you have the characters that look like from Marvel Rivals. Do you think that game is still supported today? I think so. I think people will be well more forgiving. Okay? I don't think it would be, but I would have bought it. I think it would have been. I think people would have forgived it because it would have been so much hype with the cosmetics and stuff that it would still be making money. You understand what I'm saying? Of course. Yeah. No, the characters of the game look like the D-listers, right? But if the characters from Marvel Rivals were Marvel's Avengers and they brought in those cosmetics like they have, 100%, I think it would make more money because obviously they made good cosmetics, okay? And they would still be supported. I think 100% this game would still be around. I mean, obviously, I can't be right or wrong. It's just a theory. I just think if they look like Marvel Rivals and brought that type of art style to the game, where they made badass cosmetics, you would still be playing that game because of the way it looked. It was off-putting the way it looked. We made fun of it when it came out. We're like, that looks like the backup singer of a band Thor looked like. Like, what the hell is that? Jason says the Avengers streams were too funny. They always reminded me of a meme with the dog in the burning house saying, "This is fine." Yeah. That's exactly. Or the guy comes in with the pizza. Like, what's going on? Yeah, it's exactly what happened, Jason. Every time you tuned into one of their streams, you're like, what's happening here? They didn't answer anything. They should have let the character design for Rivals do in Marvel's action adventure game. Cough, cough. Ultimate Alliance. I'm with you, Water. I'm 100% with you. 100%. Maybe, but the content loop was still boring as hell. Yeah, but what I'm saying, Eclipse, is if it was I'm saying the exact same game, but if you're doing that as Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange is in the game and he looks like Doctor Strange, or now Rogue comes in, like they just keep adding characters and now you're going through the game, but you're leveling up each character, but they look that cool, right? Obviously, if they made money from the cosmetics, right? And again, this is what it hinges on. If it looks like Marvel Rivals, right? If it looked like what Marvel Rivals is, people would buy the cosmetics. If people bought the cosmetics, then they would put more money into the game and more things would have happened. But they didn't do that, right? They gave you shitty looking characters with shitty things that you were buying for microtransaction skins with a boring loop. But if you had that same boring loop, but with really cool microtransaction skins, like look at what Hulk was when they brought in, God, I can't think of the, what's his name? My brain, COVID brain just kicked in. I can't think of a chat. Hulk with the beard, right? Look at what he looks like in Marvel Rivals compared to look like. Thank you, right? Maestro. When Maestro was in the game, look at Marvel Rivals compared to Marvel Avengers. You would play way more if you were playing that character in that game. 100%, I believe that. Brainchild says every Marvel game after Avengers had much better contracts to use assets, and the Avengers did. Right? Silver says, nah, the content loop killed the game. Pretty characters isn't what's keeping Marvel Rivals alive. Silver, what I'm saying, though, I agree with you that it would still probably be, but if Marvel Rivals looked the way it did, people would pay more for the cosmetics, right? People would pay more for the cosmetics, so they would implement more stuff because they were making more money. No one was buying the cosmetic skins off the shitty-looking characters that were in that game. Even when they brought in and they told you, we're not doing any crossovers with the movies, and then they did, okay, they still look like ass. You know what? I'm going to bring them up. Look at this. These characters look terrible. Look at them. And I like the game. Okay? But I didn't buy any microtransactions. Right? The defaults were terrible. And even when they made the new characters, like the cosmetics, they were ass. Okay? Now you compare it to this. Right? Now compared to this. I'm just going to take a random picture and just bring it up, right? Now you look at this picture, right? Look at this compared to this, right? Sorry. To this, right? This to this. I'm playing this game longer. Right? Already proven, by the way. Already proven. I've actually put almost more hours into, well, that's not true. Not yet. Okay, because I played Marvel Avengers for 2 years. Okay, Rivals only been out for 1 year, but by the end of it, I will have more hours in Rivals than I did in Marvel's Avengers. Okay, Jay Breezy says Spider-Man was PlayStation only, so bad. Yeah. Water says just show the Savage Rogue skin and put in general chat. Okay, hold on. Let me. Yeah, come on. Come on. You're playing Avengers longer. You're playing Marvel's Avengers longer if that character's in the game. Again. You can't tell me otherwise. Okay? People will play a game because of cosmetics, like because visually it looks better than the other thing, right? Come on. If this was in this game would still be alive because people would spend money on the cosmetics. Yes, the game is redundant and stuff, but it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be that way because they would be making money. That game didn't make money because no one bought the game in the beginning and no one was spending money on microtransactions because the character design looked like ass. Facts. Guardians of the Galaxy game was at least okay. That suffered, Jay, because of Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers did The Last Jedi. You know what I mean? Marvel's Avengers Last Jedi'd the rest of the Marvel games that came out afterwards. Midnight Suns suffered. Guardians of the Galaxy suffered. All because of what happened to Marvel's Avengers. Right? Guardians of the Galaxy is a really good game. But people didn't want to play it because like, nah, I'm good with Marvel. Jason says the entire loop was shit and the cosmetics were a joke. How do you not have the MCU skins ready at launch? Remember, Jason, they said we're not doing the movie crossovers and stuff like that. And they went, no one's buying any skins. And what did they do? They put it in the game. Here, these are some good pictures here, right? Look at the difference. This is great. This is great. Look at the difference, right? Look at the difference of. Oh, that's too small. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Full size, large, right? Look at the difference between. Look at the difference. Come on. Oh, you're fine to disagree with me, Silver, right? But look at the design difference, right? Look at the design difference. Oh, what happened? Where's the other one? Did they go? Oh, it's not going to open that one. It just keeps opening the same thing. What are we doing here? Well, here, you can just look at them, right? Look at Thor, right? Look at Hawkeye. Look at Hulk. Black Widow. Come on, bro. People would still be playing that game if the characters looked like that. Oh, does somebody have a video? Oh, let's watch this for a second.
Yo, welcome back to another video. On the left, this is Marvel Rivals design. On the right,
this is from 11 months ago.
Marvel's Avengers design. Which one do you think was made in a Western studio?
We know the answer. Hold on, I gotta refresh this because it won't let me go widescreen.
Yo, welcome back to another video. They managed to mess up his design, and please let me zoom in.
I mean, look at this.
You're not.
Tell me you still wouldn't be playing that. The people that played Marvel's, right? Now, obviously, Silver says, I didn't like it. The loop was boring. He doesn't play Marvel Rivals either, right? But those of you that do play Marvel Rivals and those of you that played Marvel's Avengers, like it's night and day, dude. Night and day. Look at the difference. The art style of a game is huge. Okay? The design of the characters are huge. Look at the difference. These are guys. One, I said this from the beginning when Marvel's Avengers first came out. I said, why would you make it in reality? Right? Superheroes in general just shouldn't be in this is why I don't really like the Snyder one. This is why I don't really like the stuff like that. Like I want them to be fantasy. I want them to look like comic book characters. Look how crap that looks compared. Look, the Hulk is just disgraceful. I mean, look at that. It took so long. It almost took 2 years to get this outfit inside of Marvel Rivals. That this is Black Panther, and this is a guy at MegaCon dressed in cosplay as Black Panther. You see what I'm saying? Each of these characters from Marvel's Avengers literally looks like the cosplay of the character. It's so sad. So sad. Oh my God. Look at this. Look at Winter Soldier. Oh my God. So sad and pathetic. So bad. Yeah, I'm sticking with it. You give that type of game with that type of art style, and that people are still playing that game. They're still updating it because people are still buying cosmetics. All right, let's see. We got that one done. On the left, we have Harold Thor. On the right, we have a guy cosplaying as Thor named. Yeah, it's so bad, Water. So bad. Marvel's Avengers graphic design are toned down so much. If I was a person that worked on Marvel Avengers, I wouldn't put it on my resume, right? There's movies I worked on that I don't put my name on. There's another name I put under, right? Like, I just don't put it on my resume. That would be one of those games. I'd be like, nah. Like, what a like, you're drawing it, and you're like, yeah, this is I can't believe I'm working on Marvel's Avengers. Who are you drawing there? Oh, this is Thor. That's Thor? Does it look good? No. Upper management said yes. They okayed it. Marvel's Avengers and Square Enix and Marvel the brand said, yeah, we're good with that. Jason says, embarrassing. I will never forgive Crystal Dynamics for that game. I left his Winter Soldier. On the right was Spring Soldier. Combat was all right until God of War guy left. Who did it? Oh, right, the combat. Well, what's it called? Hulk was actually fun to use. He felt the most, and Captain America felt really good too to use in the game. Eclipse says, I mean, I would be still playing the game, but I don't know if Square Enix would keep up the servers. Nah, no, it's a dead game now. I mean, you can still buy it and play it. I don't know why. Oh my God. I'm glad they didn't put Wolverine in the game, Water. It would have been bad. He would have looked like a badger instead of a Wolverine. Yeah, it would have been interesting the way they would have done it. All right, let's go to the next story. So bad. All right. Netflix considered Warner Brothers games to be pretty much worthless. You guys like what I do here? We do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. It's our favorite guy, Mr. John Walker. John Walker, Netflix considered Warner Brothers games to be pretty much worthless. Okay. The entire game division behind Hogwarts Legacy and Arkham franchise wasn't even a factor in the price of Netflix's bid. Okay. Well, yeah, because Netflix is not a gaming. They're not a gaming sector. Gaming is an afterthought for Netflix, right? Netflix is about content on the streaming service. Okay. Gaming is not. Now, obviously, if you open up Netflix on your mobile phone right now, you can play games on Netflix. If you open up Netflix on your television set, you can play games, but it's not. Oh, out of memory. It's not a major thing here. Okay. So it says, the news of Netflix is trying to buy Warner Brothers didn't ever look like it. It would be also good for game players. But recent investors call, the streamers suggest that things are a whole lot worse than they previously imagined. Netflix co-CEO told investors that when it came to Warner's gaming division, it didn't even factor in to the $83 billion deal. It was apparently considered to add nothing to the company's overall value because they're relatively minor compared to the grand scheme of things. Yes, this is looked on from a gamer point of view, okay? Warner Brothers is a, 80-year-old company, 90-year-old company, maybe even longer or older than that, okay? They have some of the biggest IPs in all of movies, okay? Coming from a company of Netflix whose main content is to provide content. I say content because that's what they provide. They don't provide entertainment. Content is to get more other people's content. Netflix, the only reason they are where they are is because they had to keep paying money towards, right? This is why they're $17 billion in debt, because they had to keep buying or renting, basically, other people's IPs to put them onto Netflix. Okay. And then the money they recurred from that, okay, from the subscription models, they started making original content. Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, Squid Games, all that stuff, right? To build up what they have to have original programming. Okay. If they get a hold of the WB brand, that is more valuable to Netflix that is not a gaming company than the actual games that they get over, right? They can license out the titles and the games to other people. That's not a big thing. This is why Netflix didn't put it into their, I would assume, didn't put it into their overall process, right? Warner Brothers Gaming hasn't exactly shown of late, okay? The multiple closures, extremely talented teams, and a recent flop of Multiverses, another game that should still be operational right now. The fact that WB closed Multiverses the first time during the beta and then brought it back and made it worse, a worse experience, is absolutely, talk about tone deaf from Crystal Dynamics as far as Marvel's Avengers, but how tone deaf is Warner Brothers for Multiverses? You have a game, a fighting game, that you can take any IP that you have and you own and throw it into a game and monetize it, advertise it, do anything of all the movies that are coming out, all the TV shows coming out, cross promotion, all the stuff, and they went, yeah, no, they made it worse than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago when it first launched in beta. Okay. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. That's another nightmare. I enjoyed the story, but the end game and the loop is literally, talk about redundancy. Suicide Squad makes Marvel's Avengers look like an Academy Award winning fucking, or I should say, I'm sorry, a Game Award winning game. Okay. Like, Suicide Squad's repetitive was 100 times worse. You fought the same boss 13 times. 13 times. Same guy, just instead of moving left, he moves right. He shoots this instead of that. It's the exact same thing. Talk about minimal viable product, right? But it's still hardly minor, okay? For one of Hogwarts Legacy's the best-selling game of 2023 in the US, more popular than Call of Duty, selling 34 million copies in its first year, right? That's billions of dollars in revenue. Yeah, but that's one game. That's one game out of the slew of games that came out that was terrible for them. Silver says, if Suicide Squad had the same quality of character models as Marvel Rivals, it'll still be alive. I see what you're doing there. Not even close. The foundation of what Marvel Rivals was compared to what Suicide Squad was, completely different. Now, I will say this, Silver. The story in Suicide Squad is a better story than the story in Marvel Avengers. 100%. That's where the game ends, right? Right after you're done with the story in Suicide Squad, that's where the game goes down the shitter. Okay. It says, it's got more Arkham franchise, Mortal Kombat, plus an infinite money machine where every single Lego game from Star Wars to Harry Potter to Batman, yes, it suffered as much as every other arm in the company under David Zaslav. But it's not something you also immediately write off as worthless. Okay. But you would if you're not a gaming company, right? The price of Netflix put on Warner Brothers games bidding for the whole company. Remember, what was the deal? Was it Embracer? There was another company, and they just kind of like rid off a couple of studios because they didn't give a shit. Okay? Just didn't care because they didn't care about those companies or the franchises. So it's worthless to them, right? Netflix doesn't care about the games section of Warner Brothers. They cared about what Warner Brothers IPs were, which was still part of the games, right? Batman, Looney Tunes, Lego, all that stuff is owned by Warner Brothers, but they don't really care about the games because, again, they can just license them out to other people. Okay. Well, they also definitely have been doing some great work in the game space, said Gregory Peters on December 8th, called Thanks to Pocket Gamer. We actually didn't attribute any value to that from any get-go because it was a relatively minor compared to the grand scheme of things. Okay. So Netflix already failed hard with games. It's important to put in perspective, into context, that Netflix has spent years trying to work out on to make money through video games, and they only failed and failed again, stripping back expensive forays into the worlds of PC and console gaming, and now sticking exclusively to mobile games with casual emphasis. Okay, that makes sense. Netflix is a TV and movie streaming service. Hey, let's imagine you should have led with this. John Walker. Okay, it's hubris to launch the video game ambition into the market of Google. All right. So spectacularly crashed out, big companies look at the sort of numbers publishers make from Call of Duty, Genshin Impact, and think, we like them some of that, please, and assume it just happens. It doesn't. Millions get wasted and people lose jobs. Yeah, but first of all, that is so simplistic of what he just put there. Okay? We like that. We like some of that, please. and assume it just happens. No, it just doesn't happen. You have to make a game, sell a game, right? No matter what happens, if you don't like Marvel's Avengers for Crystal Dynamics, it's not part of WB, but if you make a game like that, you put it out there. If it's bad, it's bad. Okay? If you made Suicide Squad, you put it out there. If it's bad, it's bad. But make a game, sell a game. All of these other games that didn't make it, all did one of the exact same thing. They put the microtransactions before the actual game itself. And the fundamental foundation of these games failed because they weren't making a video game. They were making a money machine. Okay, and that's why these games failed. Okay, not because they were bad games. They were bad games from the fundamental point of they were money machines, then video games afterwards. Okay, it says in the aftermath of Netflix attempting to purchase Warner Brothers, so on some level can understand why the company is disillusioned with gaming might be an aspect of a prize. However, it also speaks some quite spectacular short sightings, given that lucrative nature of so many WB games license. Again, they can license them out, but you can't say that they're damaged, right? They're all damaged. The licensing of these things or the brands of these things are damaged right now. So you're like, well, you didn't really do anything. The only thing that's good is Harry Potter in gaming form right now. Everything else, right? Lord of the Rings brand with Gollum is down. Okay. DC right now is down. Okay. Hopefully the Lego Batman game comes out and it kind of brings up the stock again for them, right? Suicide Squad, the DC is down. The only thing making money for them was Harry Potter in the gaming space. This all suggests bad times are ahead for those surviving developers under the Warner's roof. Peter's further comments initially suggest that there also might be internal insight, as he says. Now we're super excited because some of those properties that we've built, Hogwarts is a great example of that, have done quite well. And we think that's incorporate into what we're offering. However, what we're offering is a key phrase given on how clear Netflix has recently made and focus on mobile only. They've also got great studios, great folks working there, adds Peter. So we think there's also definitely an opportunity there. But just to be clear, we haven't built that into our deal model. Right. It's a bonus. It's a bonus. I mean, to be honest, they could sell those studios off to other people. They could partner those studios with other people if they really wanted to. Right? Look at Disney. Disney got rid of all their developers, and now they're like, who wants to make a game for Disney? Right? That's what they've done. Okay. It certainly makes sense for the IP of Netflix is getting a deal as the opportunities when it comes to casual gaming development. The Lego games are already mobile friendly and have a broader family audience, while licenses of Harry Potter and Batman can be milked in the endless stream of mediocrity of cell phone games. But hope for further entries of Rocksteady's Arkham franchise seems unlikely to be met, let alone new owners receiving what Warner Brothers once did best with the game series like Shadows of Mordor, Fear, and also crucially abandoned Monolith properties. Okay. You know what I think Netflix should do? If Netflix or Paramount, I don't know if Paramount gives a shit if they take it over, right? If they're going to do anything with the gaming industry either, okay? But if they do, either company, whoever gets WB, they should 100% take multiverses and open it back up. 100% take multiverses, open it back up, rethink it, okay? But put it back out there as a fighting game that you can take cross promotions, throw it up on the mobile, okay? And put it out there so people can buy microtransactions. They can promote other movies that are coming out, crossover event type of thing, right? Make it cool, okay? Don't put it back out there and micromanage everybody out there. Like, just let people play the game, okay? Don't put everything hidden behind. It was so bad that when the game first launched, before it went out of beta, it was 100 times better than the game they launched when it was out released. Okay, where they literally locked cosmetic skins behind levels, right? Like if you wanted to do this level, you had to unlock this shirt, but the only way to get that shirt, you had to pay $7 to unlock the cosmetic skin so you could then continue doing the missions. It's like, what are you doing? Okay, if you just make the characters, make it a fun game, and people like playing your game, like Marvel Rivals is doing, then you would have an infinite amount of making cool cosmetics, different game modes, different things, and just keep putting the IPs. Bring in Harry Potter, right? Bring in all the other ones, the Looney Tunes, more Looney Tunes. Okay, bring all the people into the actual game and just keep going. So if I was Netflix or if I was Paramount, okay, I would 100% revive, okay, multiverses, because it's just such a good tool to do cross promotion. Every time a movie comes out, every time a show comes out, you put the new character inside the game. Voila. Hence why DC Universe Online still survives today. Every time a new movie or something comes out, they do a cross promotion and they have a storyline inside there, and people come back and play that game. Right? Obviously, there's a lot of microtransactions in that as well, but it's also a free-to-play game. Okay? It would be stupid if they kind of just didn't do anything with the gaming division, but it makes sense that Netflix didn't consider it part of their deal because they don't really give a shit about it. It's just an extra thing. And obviously, Warner Brothers doesn't give a shit about it. If they did, they could break off the two segments and sell them off separately. These are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think about Netflix not considering the Warner Brothers games to be basically worthless? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of other videos. Thanks for watching. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Jason says, no, it wouldn't. Suicide Squad was a shit game top to bottom. I like the story. I know people were upset about it because of what they did for Batman stuff, but it literally was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It was in the title. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's canon and like whatever happened in the game was going to change like the entire universe of DC Comics or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I like what the story was in Suicide Squad. Didn't love it, but it was a good story. Good performances too. Voice acting. The cutscenes were good. Yeah. Amazing cutscenes. Yeah. It was like a movie. It was an interactive movie, basically. The stuff you did in between was garbage, but if you took all the scenes, it was actually just someone just cut out all the gameplay and put the actual cutscenes in there. Good. Oh yeah, the end game was absolute trash, Roic. The end game of Suicide Squad. Someone said it. I forget which content creator said it. It's like, maybe it was Kingard. Was it Kingard? Somebody was like, it's just fight on the rooftops here, fight on the rooftops there, fight on the rooftops over here. It's the same rooftops. You know what I mean? Nothing changed. Nothing was different. It's now it's in Joker world, and now it's in this world, and then obviously the other characters they brought in was garbage as well. Altern says, I love that Wonder Woman. I thought the design of Wonder Woman was bad, but I thought the acting and stuff for Wonder Woman was pretty good. That's true, Quintar. When she saw Joker, and that's because of activist stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's because of activist stuff. Crazy that they launched alongside Arkham Knights and both flopped. Arkham Knights launched the same time as Suicide Squad? You're talking about the TV show? You're talking about the video game? You talking about Gotham Knights? Is that what you're talking about? Gotham Knights, Silver? Gotham Knights came out a year before. Did it not? Or did it come out? Yeah, because Gotham Knights came out in October of 2023. Right? And Suicide Squad came out in February of 2024. Is that right? If that's what you're talking about, Gotham Knights. Yeah, fight 100-time versions of the same boss. Gotham Knights was actually pretty good. I'll be honest. Talking about Gotham Knights, you could tell was made for it was supposed to be live service, and it was supposed to be where you're leveling up your gear. It was, but they changed it some way in development. But Gotham Knights got shit on because it wasn't 60 frames. That's why it got shit on. Not because it was a bad game. The actual Gotham Knights game is actually a really good game. The story is actually pretty good. The gameplay and the fighting mechanics is actually really good. The structure, when I talk about like, so for instance, Batman Arkham had really good fighting mechanics, right? And it wasn't open world, but it got better each time, right? Spider-Man came in and took the fighting mechanics of Batman and put it in Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's open world was kind of like, you didn't really feel like you were changing anything. It was just like, oh, there's a criminal gang over there. Let's fight them and beat them and whatnot. In Gotham Knights, you actually felt like you were protecting Gotham, okay? And you were fighting, and it would change the landscape of the actual city itself, right? It was, was it 22? Jesus. Yeah, so it was over a year. It was over a year and a couple of months. So you actually felt like you were protecting Gotham. People didn't want to give it a shot because of the 30 frames per second. That was the big downfall of it, right? That, and I think it was Robin was gay, right? That was the two big things. Even though the game itself was actually a really good game, the end game was actually pretty good as well. But it got repetitive because you were looking for the same, again, because of the microtransactions, or because they wanted to make a live service game. The way you were upgrading your gear was stupid, the way they did it, because that was baked in from the beginning. I found it hilarious in Suicide Squad where they did the slow walkout and had a can thrown at them, and they get no respect. Gotham Knights released October 21st of 2022. I thought it was 2023. Jesus. So it was. That's 3 years ago. Roic says, I like Gotham Knights. They dropped the ball in the case files. I would have added so much more. We had conversations after conversations about that, Roic. I said they should have constantly just did updates for the case files, brought in different boss fights and stuff like that. Would have been great. As long as you play Batman and have time to think, that you'll win every DC game. Robert Jones says, Gotham Knights is a 3D beat 'em up in my eyes. It was fun. It was fun fighting the guys and doing the combinations when you're fighting. It wasn't as good as Batman, like the original series of Batman, but it was pretty goddamn close. Silver says I was way off. It's okay. You were just trying to do the hate because you were trying to make a point and then your point was failed. I do it all the time. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. You were trying to combine the two and be like, well, see? Yeah, I get it. I understand what you're doing. All right, this last story, and then we're going to watch some two videos. Okay, this last one, I'm not really too sure the credibility of this one, right? Just from the article itself. Okay, and we've heard plenty of stuff that's happening here. This is pretty funny, though, if it's true. Okay, this is pretty funny if it's true. Again, we cover news stories here. Okay, we're covering news stories here that we read for the first time here. I don't know what the article is. Okay, you guys submit the stories. I see the stories. I decide what I want to do in the morning. I read it, give you my thoughts and opinions. We get your thoughts and opinions on it as well. So if you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay. So Star Wars prepares to replace The Force Awakens with Episode 7. Okay. With a new Episode 7. If this actually happens, I will laugh my ass off. Okay. Now, I'm assuming they're talking about Grogu movie is supposed to take the place of what happens in Episode 7. Meaning they're basically hand-waving that whatever happened here doesn't exist, right? And they're trying to go back towards our era of Star Wars by bringing in what Mando happens after Empire Strikes Back and so on and so forth 5 years after, and then what changes for the New Order, okay? In a stunning franchise shakeup, Star Wars is reportedly preparing to rewrite its own history. If they bring in the world between worlds like they did in the cartoon to erase what they've already done, which we kind of already know it's happened. They've showed it in the Ahsoka series, right? A decade after has it been 10 years since The Force Awakens come out? Jesus. A decade after Force Awakens revived Star Wars on the big screen, the franchise is preparing for another major shift. A new theatrical release slated for 2026 are poised to reset expectations and redirect the saga's future. While Lucasfilm has not released a movie since 2009, The Rise of Skywalker, and the growing slate of New Republic era projects is steadily reshaping what fans recognize as the post-Return of the Jedi storyline. A new chapter, a sequel trilogy that is frequently ranked low in retrospective assessments, despite The Force Awakens drawing huge crowds when it debuted in 2015. Well, just because you made a lot of money doesn't mean it was well received. It tricked a lot of people to go see it because it was sort of like New Hope. They brought you in thinking you were going to see Luke, Leia, and Han together, but they never did that. They never did that scene, but they showed them in the trailer to get you in and be like, hey, you know these things? Here it is. Okay. So they did that on purpose because of the nostalgia berries. Jingle the keys. Hey guys, we got Luke Skywalker. We got Han Solo. We got Princess Leia. Remember them? Remember the Millennium Falcon? Woo! That's what they did. Now stories set years before the sequel are quietly positioning themselves as a replacement for what Episode 7 represented. Here they go. They're doing it, chat. Okay? The shift centers on the New Republic era, a timeline that began in 2019 as the sequels wrapped up. The cluster of interconnected shows and films set in the period was since been dubbed the Mandoverse, okay, born from the success of The Mandalorian. Okay, the series spawned of the Book of Boba Fett, which probably one of the worst shows, not in Star Wars, ever. Okay, the Book of Boba Fett is probably one of the shittiest shows I've ever watched my entire life. No joke. I'm not exaggerating that either, okay? And Ahsoka creating a broader narrative arc and will soon include The Mandalorian and Grogu, scheduled for release in 2026. Okay. Building a new trilogy. After the films arrived, Ahsoka Season 2 and theatrical... Oh, who was asking? Melissa and Little Beastie asked about it yesterday, right? When is Ahsoka Season 2 coming? After the films arrived, Ahsoka Season 2 and theatrical project directed by Dave Filoni are expected to push the storyline towards a culminating confrontation, okay? Collective by the form of what is considered a spiritual successor to the sequel trilogy, mirroring a narrative function of The Force Awakens once served. Okay, the Mandoverse explores ideas long requested by fans, fully capable of Luke Skywalker, a political atmosphere of a New Republic, and a looming danger of the Grand Admiral Thrawn. Unlike 2015 relaunch, which revived the brand after years of dormance, these stories, well, first of all, stop it. It didn't revive the dormant. Like, you had the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars in the cartoon series and all the other stuff, Star Wars was still relevant there, okay? These stories act more like a direct extension to the original trilogy. Because The Force Awakens attempt to restart the franchise, it faced inevitable criticism, okay? Although the film surpassed $2 billion globally and earned strong reviews later, backlash towards The Last Jedi, okay? The Rise of Skywalker altered the legacy. Filoni's upcoming film may further reshape how audiences interpret the sequels, okay? The Luke question. Okay. With Thrawn organizing Imperial remnants of the New Republic struggling to respond, the Mandoverse is setting up a decisive conflict and sits just before the sequel timeline. Okay. Wait a minute. First of all, the Mandoverse is 5 years after Empire Strikes Back, which is 25 years before The Force Awakens. What are we talking about? Do they not know their own timeline? Okay, New Republic struggling to respond. The Mandoverse is setting up a decisive conflict that sits just before the sequel timeline. That's 25 years. It's 25 years. That's a long fucking time. Okay. One key challenge remains. Isn't it 25 years? Am I wrong there, Chad? I thought it was 25 years. Isn't it 30 years from Return of the Jedi to Force Awakens? Or is it 18 years? I thought it was 30 years. Fact check me on that. Okay. There's a Luke question. One key challenge remains the portrayal of Luke Skywalker. His previous appearance used a digital dub of a younger Mark Hamill, promoting debate about whether or not recasting is necessary. First of all, the actor is not bigger than the character. Okay. If you want to use Luke Skywalker as Luke Skywalker and use the digital aging thing, cool. But if you want to get a person that looks like close possible to Luke Skywalker when he's a little older and cast somebody else, it's okay. If you tell a good enough story, you'll you'll not be fazed by it because you'll look past what it was. I mean, look at Ewan McGregor, a younger, obviously the actor, okay, that played Obi-Wan in the original is dead and he can't play a younger person. So they brought in Ewan McGregor to play Obi-Wan and then he grew into the character. Right? So it's okay to recast people. Okay. So it says Lucasfilm has reportedly resisted recasting after Solo underperformed, leaving the future depiction of Luke, Leia, and Han unresolved. How the studio handles the legacy figures may determine whether or not Mandoverse can fully function as a new Episode 7 and reimagined continuation of the saga that's in many ways eclipses The Force Awakens. So they're not getting rid of The Force Awakens. It is 30 years. Thank you, Krebsy. Okay. They're not getting rid of. They're not hand-waving the thing. Now, they could change it 100% because there is the world between worlds, and they can change things and alternate things. Okay. So they're saying that this trilogy still exists, but they're trying to make a new trilogy. So basically, the Mando movie is supposed to be like Episode 7, and if it does well, then they'll make another one, and there'll be another trilogy sitting in between the last trilogy and our original trilogy. Okay. So I don't know. There's always been talks about how they might redo the original films, which I don't think you should do, by the way. I don't think you should do. And if they do it, I've said in the past, they need to do it in an animated, like keep it completely separate, but make it we showed the anime version, right, of Star Wars that they've done, like a fan film and stuff like that. If you want to like retell the story, but in an animated form, cool, but do not remake the original trilogy in live action. Just don't do it. Okay. You're asking for trouble. Okay. You're asking for trouble. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think? Do you think, obviously, if the Mando Grogu movie is successful, they'll make a second one, and then they'll make a third one, and then that trilogy sits in there, okay, in between. So it'll be 4, 5, 6, the Mando whatever, and then episodes 7, 8, and 9. But again, whatever happens during the Mando section, which Ahsoka's there, the world between worlds has already been introduced there as well. That can completely change, and they can hand wave it where whatever happened before doesn't really exist anymore, right? And they can completely change it. Okay, they can already completely change it. As a user says over here, it says AI all Star Wars movies. We watched a thing. I don't know if you were here last week when we watched the fan film of General Grievous, all done with AI. It was phenomenal. It told a better story than what we've seen in the last 10 years from Star Wars itself. Right? It was really good. So that doesn't make sense. Going back to the 30-year thing, right? If it's 30 years, Mando takes place 5 years after, and this matters, by the way. I know a lot of people don't give a shit about timelines, but timelines are very important when you're establishing something in a universe that you've already established. Okay? So if it is 30 years, and they're saying that the next movie is just right before, there's 25-year gap between Mando when we saw him in 2009, or 19, sorry, when we first introduced Mando, and since that time, from when we introduced Mando, which is 5 years, is when we first saw him, and then by the end of season 5 or 4, whatever the hell it was, because the movie's technically season 5, it's only been 2 years, 2 or 3 years, so which is 8 years, okay, total, from Empire Strikes Back to the end of where the movie you're going to watch in 2026, okay? So that's 8 years from a combined total of 30, okay? So you still have 22-year gap between Mando movie and episode 7. Titan says, Acolytes, what timelines? I think you have to, I don't know this answer because I didn't watch The Acolyte, okay? I don't know. I think that takes place, the same time frame 2 years after Mando. So it would take place 7 years after Empire Strike. I'm not sure. I would have to look that up. Let me see. Let's see. Do they have a there a chart? We have a picture. Okay, we have this chart here. Don't know how active or no, that's not going to work. Just show me the Visions, Kenobi, Squadron, Ahsoka. Oh no, the Acolyte takes place during the during right before. Oh no, it happens during Mando. It happens during Mando, I think. Can't really see size large. I don't want to open that one. I just want to open the thing. Is this better? All right. So here we go. We got this. This is from Reddit. I'm not too sure if this is good or not. Okay. So the Acolyte takes place before episode 1. That takes place before episode 1. Sorry. The Acolyte takes place before episode 1 Phantom Menace. Right? So you have Acolyte, Phantom Menace, episode 2, then you have the Clone Wars, then you have episode 3, then you have Tales of the Jedi, then you have Bad Batch, then you have Jedi Fallen Order, then you have Solo, then you have Jedi Survivor, then you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, then you have Star Wars Rebels, okay, then you have Andor, then you have Rogue One, then you have Star Wars New Hope, then you have Empire Strikes Back, then you have Outlaws, takes place in between there, then you have Return of the Jedi, then you have Star Wars Squadron, then you have Battlefront 2. Oh, Battlefront 2 story. Yeah, okay. Then you have Mando. Then you have Boba Fett. Then you have Ahsoka. Then you have Skeleton Crew. Then you have Star Wars Resistance. Then you have Star Wars The Force Awakens, Last Jedi. Then you have Star Wars Battlefront 2. What is that? Oh, Resurrection. Then you have Last Jedi, sorry. And then you have The Rise of Skywalker, which is the last one. Michelle says, great to see you again. I was Christmas shopping online for my daughter, and I was also shocked to see that they had a huge sale on all Acolyte merch. Oh, yeah. Well, no one's buying it. Do you have, I don't know where you live, Michelle. If you live and there's an Ollie's near you, an Ollie's. I don't know if you know what Ollie's is. But you can go to Ollie's and you can get the entire collection of the Acolyte because no one's buying them. They're just on the shelf. You can also find all the Marvel Eternals there. You can also find all of Black Panther figures there. You can also find all of there's one more Shang-Chi characters there as well. Titan says, Canon previously established that Katie Mundy was born in 92 before the Battle of Yavin. Since the Acolyte said 100 years before Phantom Menace, fans argued he shouldn't be alive. He wasn't. He wasn't supposed to be alive. They literally changed. So if you're looking it up right now, Titan, they literally changed his birth date, okay, for the show. Before he showed up in the show, they had to actually change it. So it's not false. I mean, it's false now. He shouldn't be alive because he was like 60 years old or something like that in his right, or 80 years old or something like that, and he wouldn't be alive. He would have been born yet during the Acolyte. Let's see. Yeah, it's a continuity error for sure. Let's see. I want to buy me a pair of the first time, but don't know exactly how they fit. I could also do drugs. I would have more fun. Perhaps, Jason says, or Jesse says, 30, Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Obi-Wan Kenobi series set in the same place timeline. Yes, Kenobi's after Survivor. So if they make the third game, potentially you could see Obi-Wan there. And we know that Cal Kestis is alive and well because he might be in the Ahsoka show. Ron says, I would like to see the original trilogy done in anime form similar to the Batman Ninja. Yeah, I would be okay if they did it where it doesn't replace the original trilogy, but they do the trilogy in a animated form. I think that would be cool. Here's the thing, Aku. When they talk about the canon, this is what I don't like. Kathleen Kennedy stood in front of you and said that none of that existed. But yet, they keep pulling from that EU, okay, the extended universe, and then making it canon into the thing, okay? Because Thrawn's also not canon, okay? But yet now he is canon, right? Mara Jade is not canon, but now she is canon. So if you're going to pick and choose from the stuff, you know what I'm saying? They could have picked anybody else. They could have made a brand new character, and we've already gone in this in multiple shows about this, what they've done, what they did for the Acolyte. They could have literally made a brand new character, but no, they chose someone that was sitting on the council, and it didn't make fucking sense why he was there. Didn't make fucking sense. Titan says canon and books are also irrelevant, I guess, unless they directly feature in TV shows and movies. Yeah, when they say none of that exists, but then they pull things from the things that don't exist and then make them exist, it's stupid. Right? How come there isn't a Battlefront 2 and Jedi games connected to the movies / shows yet? The Battlefront 2 story is connected to the films. There's an actual there's a moment in Battlefront 2 when you play that you control Luke Skywalker and he's looking for parts of the stuff so he can make the Jedi school. Michelle says, I have a funny story about the green milk. When they sold the Star Wars green milk in my store during Rise of Skywalker, no one bought it. So the stores had to relabel it mint flavored milk. I didn't know they sold that in stores. I know they had it at the parks. That's funny. They had to relabel it like holiday mint flavor. El Dente says they said it's not canon until they want to say we made it up. Exactly right. But here's the thing, Aku, right? If it's not canon, right? It wasn't official canon. But then you go back and pull something and make it canon, even though it wasn't canon. But then make it canon. It doesn't make sense in the canon because he still, right? Like, there's a huge difference in age from Acolyte to when we see him, right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. In the canon, it doesn't make sense from pulling him and putting him in there. Robert says, I'm behind. But is Aaron a bot? I have no idea. It is a weird question to ask in the middle of a Star Wars conversation. But I will read it. I mean, Timberland boots. Has anyone worn Timberland boots before? I did about 20 years ago. I think they were Timberland boots. All right. Let's watch Billionaire News here. and see what he has to say about game prices are collapsing. Okay. Game prices are collapsing. All the links are in the description down below if you want to watch the videos that we're going to watch here.
I've heard you, and with today's story, it seems the rest of the industry is also beginning to hear you. Now, this year started with the fear that gaming is getting more expensive. Microsoft and Nintendo pushed the ceiling to $80, an impossibly high ask, especially as everything else has got more and more pricey. But elsewhere in the industry, something quieter is happening. And it's this. The games that you are actually buying, well, we've got the data about them. And as it turns out, they're getting cheaper. $100 for Grand Theft Auto 6. That was the rumor that kicked off this year's anxiety about game prices. It was one that Take-Two have been happy to downplay, if not outright refute. But with GTA now delayed, we won't know the truth.
Chat, does Grand Theft Auto come out at $100 or does it come out at $60? What do you think is more likely, 100 or 60? $100 or $60? I mean, obviously it's going to be $70, right? It'll probably be $70. Do you think they go 60 or do you think they go 100? Jay Breezy says 100. I mean, she could show up. She could show up. We don't know that. As of right now, Titan, she hasn't shown up.
Until next autumn, though we've already seen audiences reject the new price ceiling of $80. Xbox tried to put The Outer Worlds 2 at $80, presumably buying some headroom for Microsoft's lovely 30% profit margin demand, but they quickly reversed that decision. The inference from that?
Xbox's $8 price hike is dead on arrival. Outer Worlds was supposed to be Microsoft's wedge. They'll get it another way.
They didn't see enough pre-orders. People essentially voted with their wallet. Just that, unlike real votes, the great thing about voting with your wallet is...
Oh, they'll definitely... I know what you're saying, Michelle, where you're saying 60 digital, 100% physical. I think 100% it's $100 digital. They want that extra money for sure. They don't want physical copies out there, but they want to make the money off of the digital. It should be cheaper because it's digital, but I don't think it will be.
You don't need to do anything to cast your vote. It turns out audiences just wouldn't pay that price for The Outer Worlds 2. But you know what they would pay? The regular price. Because, selling at a normal price, the game did have a top 10 launch. Though, the right product at $80 will sell. Mario Kart World kind of proved that.
But really, Mario Kart World was $50 if you bought the bundle. More people bought the bundle than standalone copy of Mario Kart. And see, the problem is they don't separate the two. They don't separate the two. They just tell you that the total sales, okay, 9.57 million, but you don't know how many were bundles and how many people bought it separately.
Even bundled with Switch 2 for many buyers, you don't get a 92% attach rate across 9.57 million copies without lots of people shelling out the full amount. But that's only one side of this story. Because the reality we need to dive into today is about how off-console prices have been plummeting. But there's a not so funny thing hanging over all of this, and it's the simple fact that video game spending is actually falling, but subscriptions are rising. We've seen that in analyst
imagine that.
reports, and too often, well, we're paying for subs we don't use. That's why Rocket Money is today.
All right, can we skip the advertisement?
Because they make it easy to get a handle on your subscriptions and get saving.
I want to get to the second story.
You can get started today for free at rocketmoney.com/Ballular. Now, Rocket Money will securely and safely identify recurring charges.
Jump ahead. There we go.
And that's rocketmoney.com/Ballular News. If you've bought a game on Steam in the last 18 months, you probably paid $20 or less. In fact, you've probably been paying less since 2023 than you did from...
Oh, for sure, Vision. We've actually said, we broke it down. We think it's actually going to be $70 for the game and then $30 for the online. So it'll be $100. Like you could buy the game separate with no online portion of it and just pay the $70 for the single player campaign. But if you want to play the online, it'll be $30 extra. So you get $100 total for the whole thing.
From 2020. Now, what are these numbers? Well, these numbers are from the research of Simon Carlos, who runs the excellent Game Discover Co. newsletter. He tracked average and median prices for the top 50 new monthly games on Steam during that period of time, ranked by copy sold, and you're looking at the graphs now. We see a median price as low as $10, as high as $20, with averages between $16 and $29. Shocker, Steam users are thrifty people who like deals.
I love the fact, okay, so it's Steam. This is Steam, obviously. Average price of the top 50 monthly games by copies sold. Okay, the highest price is $28.89. The lowest price is $9.49. Who is the person that started this rumor that gaming is for high-end market? Gaming has always been a frugal market where people want to get the best price, just like any other type of thing. Right? You want to get the best deal for your money. Sure. Do people, pay expensive things? Sure. But the most people look for deals on stores. They don't buy full price for toys or for stuff. Now, obviously, if they did, there wouldn't be a thing called Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all these other places where you're looking for deals, even though they raise the price and then lower the price on Black Friday to make it look like it's a deal, even though you're paying full price for it.
We probably didn't need this much analysis to work that out, but that's not where I'm ending. Here's where things get truly interesting. From February 2023 to October 2025, the average amount of money spent on a best-selling game went down by 2%. The
was $22. $22.
Median, though, it went down by 20%. That means that more games are selling at a lower price.
Imagine that. Imagine a game selling more copies at a lower price. Oh, it's amazing how that works.
And whenever Carlos took a look at the revenue earned, the trend actually held. Now, in theory, that should favor more expensive games. They generate more revenue per sale. But even there, the median dropped from $23.75 to $20.35. That's about 14% of a drop. And do bear in mind that as this has been happening, the currency has been inflating. So even as players feel like they are being pressured towards $80 games, what they're actually buying is getting cheaper and cheaper. And what's key is that this is not showing us what has been offered to players, it's showing us what players have actually chosen. It's showing the best-selling premium games.
Look at that. There's only a couple of $70 games up here. Silent Hill F, NBA 2K27, Season 2, by the way. Okay. Borderlands 4, and EA Sports FC 26. Everything else is below.
On the platform, and that does feel like a bit of a win, right? That we are seeing smaller teams with cheaper games beginning to dominate the sales space. That says a lot for the value of Steam, and in a world where people would have to compare the price of a full console plus a subscription for multiplayer and more expensive games, and weigh that up to a Steam machine with generally far cheaper games, well, I think it also makes the Steam machine look stronger as well. Overall, though, it's somewhat validating an argument you see all the time, right? The argument people make every time someone suggests an $80.
Ron comes in like, I don't see Mind's Eye on that chart. Yeah, Mind's Eye, greatest game ever.
Which is that you make your profit in aggregate. So make your games cheaper, and then more people will buy them. Buying 4 $20 indie games is to many people better than one $80 AAA game. Surely that's what's going on.
Here, for instance, last night, when I played Walkabout Golf, before I started streaming it, there was 7 courses that I didn't own because I didn't know they updated it, and I forgot to update my request, right? There was 7 courses. Yeah, 7 courses, okay? And they were $3.99 a piece. So I bought all 7 courses because I like the game. I have fun in the game. So I purchased the $3.99. Okay. It's worth it. Now, if each course was $10, I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have been like, that's a lot of money. Right. But I got it for $3.99. So I bought more of them. Right. I bought multiple courses because I was like, oh, that's a good price.
Surely that's what everyone is doing. Well, ish. Let's look more into the data. Carlos gave us the perfect example. It's the September releases on Steam, where Silksong sold like gangbusters at $20, with 4.6 million copies.
Remember, the industry said, how am I supposed to sell my game now? If you sold this awesome game for $20, now I have to lower my game. No, you put your price out for what you think your game is worth, you morons.
Shifted on Steam alone. That's nearly double the sales of a full-price title like Borderlands 4. The immediate takeaway is a lower barrier to entry at the price of a couple of coffees, meaning you give yourself the widest possible audience and a big game. And in theory, that also means that more people can buy more games. But it's actually not quite that simple. You see, regardless of price, the majority of game players don't actually buy that many games.
We always hear this, right? We always say this. The average person only buys 3 to 4 games a year.
Circana's Future of Games report.
Meanwhile, I bought 12 in the last 3 months. Small, medium, and large.
Surveyed 2,500 US players on self-reported purchase patterns. About a third of the market says they buy.
We've gone over this, right? More often than once a month, 4%. So I'm in that market. About once a month, 10%. I'm in that market. Once about every 3 months, right? Once about every 6 months, once a year, and less often than once a year. 33%. One game a year.
Buy just one game or fewer a year. Just under 2/3, 63%, buy fewer than 2 games a year. That is absolutely insane to me, but
I don't think anyone in this chat has bought 2 games this year. Just 2 games this year. I don't think so. I think you've spent way more than that.
I suppose when I think about what my norms are, or maybe you do the same, we probably have a sampling bias. One that is in and around enthusiasts.
Right. It's either FIFA, Madden, or COD. Right, Altern? Those are the 3 games people are buying.
Gamers.
The one
we
game.
do buy more games, but it seems that with broader audiences, that is less the case. Now, obviously, that's Circana doing a survey of 2,500 people in the US. It's good enough work. It's hypothesis generating.
It's not enough people. It's not enough people to do it.
Work, but obviously, it is just a survey. Though I would say that when you think about games overall, a lot of it is plausible. You see, a lot of people are only interested in buying this year's sport game or this year's Call of Duty. Well, maybe not this year's Call of Duty. Maybe they bought Battlefield instead. But the majority of any product-based industry is often people who are gently engaged in it. Not people, perhaps, like you and me. But it's actually the top of the chart that complicates things here, because those people probably aren't the ones buying indie games for $20 en masse. No. They probably don't own computers. It's the other 37% of people, but even that 37% is quite stratified. 22% say they buy a game every 3 months. That's 4 games a year, and that adds up with Valve's own data. Yes, Valve's own data suggests that users played only 4 games on Steam on average in
the average user only plays 4 games in 2023.
2023 and 2024. A further 10% buy a new game monthly, which is, of course, great for an industry releasing thousands of games a year. But we need to put this in perspective. If you bought Silksong and any other game in September, 2 games in 1 month, then you are only 4% of the games market. That's kind of wild. And even if we're allowed to some swing and fuzziness because a survey is only as good as the survey, the point, I think, still does stand. And of course, it's a point that we do see in a lot of other things as well. Take whaling, right? Whaling and free-to-play games are the majority of the revenue.
Yeah, the whaling in video games is, what, 80%? You got like 5% of the population giving like 80% on mobile games and stuff.
It does come from a very small strata of that game's player base. And when we see data like that, I think we begin to understand why all of those publishers and indie devs moved their releases away from Silksong, or of course, away from GTA 6. And in the case of the indies, it would especially be because most of those indies are at the same price point or cheaper than Silksong. So if you're releasing against Silksong, a game with massive cut-through to enthusiast audiences, if you're releasing against that, then, well, you're betting on the 4% of the market turning up that does actually buy multiple games a month.
Right, you're asking for the 4% of the market, and out of that 4% of the market, you're asking them to buy the majority of the games that come out.
That doesn't really seem like a great strategy, does it? And here's the kicker. What if I told you there's another layer? You see, this chart does not distinguish between new games and already released games that are on sale. Every time someone buys a game that's been out for 6 months, they're probably not buying a new game that month to go along.
You never, remember, Sarge and I say it all the time, you don't have to buy a new game. You never, ever have to buy a brand new game. There are so many games out there, just like movies. There's so much content out there that you never, ever have to buy a brand new game. Ever.
With it, regardless of price. So, more people aren't buying games, even as prices keep trending down. Now, if that is the case, as a bunch of this data suggests, well, why then are audiences feeling like they are constantly being asked for more and more?
That's because of microtransactions is constantly inundating you. Because the small part of the market that buys multiple games is buying multiple games at full price. So they're complaining that I can't buy all these games. Well, you don't have to buy all these games. You can wait for things to go on sale.
People are asked to pay $80 or $70 for a video game. Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony are basically banking on a fairly simple principle, that the people who actually have money will spend it regardless of anything else that's going on. Essentially, they're betting on it being a premium product with inflexible demand. That is why marketing teams target those people. That's why those absurd collectors...
The collectors, 109. Just to let you guys know, if you're a person, and this is not making fun of you in any way, shape, or form, I'm just giving you... I'm pulling the curtain back a little bit, okay? If you're paying $109 for a brand new video game, you are the guy who's the whale for mobile gaming, right? For all the people playing for free for a mobile game, but the person paying hundreds, thousands of dollars for that free-to-play game is the person that gives them the most money. If you're pre-ordering and you're getting a $109 version of a game, you are the whale for that type of game, right? You are the whale for that type of game, and they make the majority of the money off of you. And then once they know that this is done, then they lower back the price, they put it on sale, they give it half off, 20%, 30%, 40% off, and it just keeps going down because they're like, where's that number? Because this game is not worth $109. I'm not saying this game, just in game in general. It's not worth $100. We got 4% of the people that pay $100. Now we go down to 80. How many people are going to buy this? How many people are going to go 70? How many people are going to go 60? How many people are going to go down to $35? Right? And that's what it is. And then the number they show you in the media when they say, we've sold 10 million units, we've sold 15 million units, it's sold 35 million units. You don't know if they paid full price or if they paid $10. They just tell you overall to make it sound like that game sold better than it is.
Editions exist, right? The people who absolutely love games and have money. They're the people these companies can count on. The games industry basically thrives in people who can spend without thinking about it.
That's right.
Which has always been the case. Buying more than one $60 game at launch has been unaffordable to people for years. But the problem is the proportion of people with money to spend freely actually does appear to be shrinking. Get this.
You don't say.
As of September, the top 10% of earners...
Bishop says, I'm the Brandon Fraser of gaming.
Accounted for 50% of U.S. retail.
Top 10% of earners drive a growing share of the U.S. consumer spending. Consumers in the top 10% of the income distribute accounted for 49.2% of the total spending in the second quarter.
Retail sales. And the very same year, spending in games is actually down.
So just let you know, the 10% out there that spend like this are the ones that call you broke. Those are the ones that, hey, brokey, can't afford it, don't complain, right? These 10% of the people that, most of the time, these 10%ers don't even have the time to play the game, so they'll just pay to surpass or get certain things without actually playing the game. They're okay spending the money on the game, they just don't have time to play the game.
Sales. And the very same year, spending in games is actually down. The 18 to 25 age group in the US is spending nearly a quarter less in games this year. And everyone, just in large, is down a couple of percent.
Let me tell you something. Younger Americans have spent 25% less on video games this year. When I was a kid, we didn't buy every single game. Birthdays and Christmas is where we asked for people to get us games, okay? And when we made money, we would buy games, but we didn't buy games all the time because you would buy a game and beat that game. There was no buy 20 games and try to beat them all. It was buy a game, beat that game. Once you're done beating that game, you would look out for the next game. Okay?
But on the whole, most game spending is only a few points down. Now, given we're in rough economic times, that could seem like a good thing, right? Oh, the world is experiencing troubles, but games are only down in most categories.
Altered says, true fans, quote, true fans will find a way to buy the game. Randy Pitchford. Thank you, Randy Pitchford, for the amazing quote.
By a few percent. What if I told you it's actually worse than that? You see, the difference that's been made up, right? What's made this only a few points down? Well, it's basically subscriptions making up the difference, because those have grown all year. But that comes from the bottom of the spending population, not the top, right? It comes from people who are seeking more and more value for their increasingly limited dollars, whilst also spending less and less on premium games. And I think that is the big tension that people are...
Well, first of all, people are buying less and less premium games because the games come out broke, buggy, and unfinished, and you have to wait 12 months, 18 months to wait for fixes. So get educated. Don't buy brand new games and then bitch about that they're broken, buggy. Okay? Wait for the game to go on sale. Stop giving these people your money up front for games. They don't give a shit if it's broke, buggy, and unfinished. They want your money up front, and then they'll fix it after the money stops coming in. They're like, well, it's slowed down. Now we can put the patch in for the people that actually bought the game. And they put it on sale for everybody else. And then it's fixed. Stop giving these companies your money up front. Wait for them to earn your money.
Feeling. We're in a situation where game marketing and traditional big games are basically out of reach to most of the audience, more so than perhaps ever in recent memory. But the companies haven't changed how they talk to players as a whole. A lot of the market has changed underneath those companies, but it's not really like it seems they've really changed their comms to match. And that is leading to people feeling ignored. It's leading to people facing demands that they cannot meet. And that's because
Nintendo knows this game's not worth $80. But if people are willing to buy the game separate for $80, they're willing to sell it to you. The game is $50, hence why they bundle it with the Switch.
Companies that used to be targeting them are now not targeting them. They are targeting someone with more disposable income. And that's a tough change to stomach. But by contrast, the $20 games on Steam are changing. Individual indie developers are watching game prices creep lower and lower. And they're just hoping that they will get enough sales to succeed, because they cannot afford to price higher and risk player bloat.
How is No Man's Sky and Hello Games still around? They didn't charge premium price. They don't charge for every expansion that comes out. They just keep adding to the game. And someone down the road goes 6 years later, I never played that. Maybe I'll buy it. And they pay $40.
Now, we're not quite at the mobile game space, where developers basically can't afford to price games as premium products anymore, but we are seeing a shift in how games are sold. And what that may lead to may not be great for all of us. Because if you can't ask players for more than $25 without facing comparisons to Silksong, then you may start having to scope your development very differently indeed. And that means that some traditional games simply would be out of reach. It could also mean that we do feel more and more nickel and dimed.
That would mean that the people that are making the games would have to take less money, so the budget goes down. And when the money comes in, they actually see a lot of people make games and they're like, what am I worth? Okay. The people that are making games by themselves or with a small team, most of them are not even paying themselves. Most of them are taking small salaries. And if and when the game takes off and they can put that money back into the company and also get their salaries, right? Their salary is a regular salary. Their salaries are not, I'm making $4 billion, okay, for our video game. They're like, oh, our budget, our game is $30 million. Our salary is $60,000, not $400,000, right? And, oh, our game didn't sell. Oh, our studio's closing. Well, did you budget that for that? Are you worth the $400,000 to make that game? You know what I mean? Like, now just amplify that for AAA games, quadruple A games, where they have tens of thousands of employees. The budget of the video game is $450 million. That's before marketing. And it goes out and sells 1 million copies. And they're like, oh, you guys are racist and sexist for not buying the game. Or the game's not good. I don't know. You let me know which one it is.
So, it's not all doom and gloom. it actually seems there's a lot of vibrancy in the indie scene. But what we are seeing is a changing market, changing behaviors, and a AAA sector that is struggling to keep up pace with that.
I don't think the gaming industry is changing for spending habits. I think when COVID hit and it did this, now the downswing's going back to what it was. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this went up like this. This is where spending was before COVID. It went up to this point, and now it's coming back down to this point. They're like, the gaming habits are changing. It's like, no, everyone's going back outside. Everyone's going back to work. People are not buying games like they did back in 2020 because we're not in the house. We're not stuck in the house anymore, right? Like, all these people that didn't even know video games existed, okay, didn't exist, okay, were buying video games. They were buying Animal Crossing, and they were buying a bunch of stuff. They were going out and buying Switches. They were buying anything they could get their hands on. They're like, I'm stuck inside. I have nothing to do. I don't know what to do. Oh, my God. And now it's coming back down to normal, and they're like, the gaming industry is crashing. People are letting go of people left and right. Yeah, but did anyone report that they did the most hiring ever? Most hiring ever between 2019 and 2021. Did anyone report that? No? Okay, cool.
Change. So no wonder they're out of touch. And speaking of out of touch, Bungie. That's certainly something a lot of people would say about them, and they have just had some not so rosy news. Basically, a big...
All right, go check out Bellier News over on his channel. Cats and dogs living together. Pandemonium. All right, the next video we're going to watch, and we're going to go over time over here. We're going to watch, I don't know if a real life fake wizard talks fast or not. Let me see.
Hello, I am the real life fake wizard.
By the way, he'll be joining us tomorrow night. Okay. The real life fake wizard will be joining us with Greg Owen, the Kingard, Sarge, and myself on GXG tomorrow night for the Game Awards. So come on by as we watch this. I think I could put him to 1.25. Go 1.25. Links in the description down below.
On December 5th, 2025, Netflix announced that it has agreed to acquire the film studio, streaming, and entertainment businesses of Warner Brothers Discovery for somewhere between $72 to $83 billion in enterprise value.
Altern says, I'm stuck inside. I hate my wife. I want a divorce. I have nothing to do. What can I do? Entertain myself. I can do longer cheat with my wife. There you go. That was it. That was it.
This merger would give Netflix control of WB's core assets in production studios, the HBO brand, the HBO Max streaming service, which would essentially just merge into
Did he shave his beard? I know he didn't.
Netflix. But more importantly, Netflix
different.
would gain ownership of some of the largest franchises in the world, like Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings film rights, Superman, Batman, Game of Thrones, Looney Tunes, and countless more. A deal like this is massive, and it requires lots of nuance in discussion, yes. But from the most sincere position as your friendly neighborhood fake wizard who analyzes entertainment business, this is very, very bad.
It is very bad.
What we're looking at here is something that seemingly keeps happening in lots of industries, not just entertainment, not just gaming, not just movies. Mega corporations buy up and consume other companies in efforts to not only
They have to do the corporate salute, wizard. They have to do the corporate salute. They have to keep making money go up.
constrict the entire marketplace, but gain monopolization and complete control of said marketplace. Disney bought Lucasfilm, Pixar, Marvel, 20th Century Fox, and most recently Hulu. Amazon bought MGM, Twitch, and Audible. Sony bought Crunchyroll in 2021. I didn't know that till I researched for this video. In anime streaming, a lot of people say that Crunchyroll bought Funimation. That's not true. Sony owned Funimation, bought Crunchyroll, merged the two together, and dumped the Funimation name. Now, it's just Sony's Crunchyroll. In gaming, we see Microsoft acting like a kraken, pulling countless flagship companies down to the depths, acquiring ZeniMax Bethesda, Rare, Mojang, Obsidian, Compulsion, Playground, Ninja Theory, Double Fine, and of course, Blizzard Activision. Tencent, one of China's largest entertainment investment firms, is gearing up to acquire all of the most valuable Ubisoft properties for pennies on the dollar. Sony, again, bought Insomniac, Bungie, and Sucker Punch, to name a few. And Nintendo is over here saying this past November that they're gearing up to buy more companies too, almost like a threat to the planet.
What? No, Nintendo won't do that. Nintendo's the good guys. They don't buy other. Oh, wait, they do. They do. Right? We say it all the time. Right? We say it all the time. Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, they're not enemies. They're in it together. They are, as the example I put, they are the chocolate companies inside the new Charlie, what's it called? Wonka movie, right? Wonka's trying to come in to sell his chocolate, but the three big companies, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, okay? Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony are stopping them, okay, or stopping him for coming in and being part of the company. They control the entire industry for gaming, right? Warner Brothers, Disney, or not Warner Brothers, Paramount, Disney, Universal, they all control the media that goes in.
Followed by just a few days ago where Nintendo acquired Bandai Namco's division in Singapore, rebranding it to Nintendo Studios Singapore. And all of these acquisitions, all of these monopolization efforts in today's marketplace, well, they're happening for lots of reasons, sure. There are tax benefits and incentives, but the main priority for acquiring all
content. It's content.
these other companies is because of streaming. All of these companies directly have or share in some kind of streaming service. The streaming market benefits all of these companies in some way. And let's define streaming for this discussion as accessing digital goods from an aggregate service. Game Pass, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max, Crunchyroll, Paramount Plus, Prime Video, Ubisoft Plus, PlayStation Plus. Heck, even TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram fit this criteria now.
Yep.
It's all part of the streaming business model. And I'm here to tell you that streaming has killed creativity.
Yeah, 100%.
It's destroyed cinemas and theaters. It certainly hasn't helped video gaming. No one knows how to tell a good story anymore, and the collective consumers,
They know how to tell a good story, but they don't have time to tell a good story because in the film industry, they have to pump out scripts, okay? And they look, instead of making something original and breaking it down and trying to rework it and trying to make a good story, they look at something else and they're like, well, that worked good. Let's do that, but now with dogs. Right? Instead of doing it with dogs, let's do it with cats, right? They tell the exact same story in the exact same way, but with just different things on the screen telling you the same story, right? And they got to pump that out as fast as possible because it's like a Hallmark type of thing, right? You watch Hallmark movies with your wife or significant other, right? You watch them, but they're really shit movies, right? They're really shit movies, but they're good for what it is, right? Turn on Hallmark and you watch the movie. This Christmas movie is the same as this Christmas movie, which is the same as this Christmas movie, but the characters are different. But it's the same fucking story over and over. Low production cost for the highest bang for your buck.
allowing all of this to take place because of convenience and because it's addicting, have no concept of how bad things have become, and they never will. And because of that, things are just going to keep getting worse. It's the holiday season, and as the snow falls and the wind howls outside, nothing beats curling up under a blanket with a steaming mug of rich, hot cocoa while your favorite classics stream all night long. Or maybe you're watching the new Stranger Things. Regardless, that velvety chocolate warmth in your hands turns every movie marathon into...
I want fucking hot cocoa now. I'm not even cold. Look at that thing pour, man. I want a hot chocolate now.
Longest winter nights feel like a cozy gift. And I'm not talking about that powdery artificial crap you get in the supermarket. You need to try Wizards Hot Cocoa, available for a limited time on Wizards Standard.
Nice.
He's
got his own hot cocoa for a limited time.
Real stuff. This is premium Italian-style hot cocoa that
endorsed by Santa himself.
Tom Hanks was singing about in the Polar Express movie. Remember the Polar Express movie? 2004 was 21 years ago. Get your hot cocoa today.
That's good. Actually, a really good commercial. I think Wizard actually does marketing and stuff in real life as his actual job. Actually, this is actually really done
at
well.
WizardStandard.com. The entertainment business model.
We'll have to ask about it tomorrow.
Has changed entirely with the growth of streaming, and at the end of the streaming takeover, customers like you and me and our opinions no longer matter. Let me explain. The original film business model was as follows. Companies invest in the creation of movies, those movies premiere in movie theaters, and then the theaters split the earnings with the production companies. Physical media also helped this system work as well. If a film failed to make its money back during its box office run, VHS,
he's about to say VHS and stuff, is what made its money back. Yeah, that system helped. You don't have that system anymore. The system that you have now is not there. So when a movie comes out in theaters and it doesn't make its money because half the people are going to the theater to actually watch the movie, when it goes off out of the theater, it's got nothing. No one's buying anything. It's just going straight to whatever streaming platform. So they're making technically 1/4 of what they would make off of that movie. Less than that. Less than 1/4. Because if you went to the theater and watched the movie, but then bought the DVD afterwards or the VHS or whatever you want, they would make their money there. But now you're just paying $7, $10, $15 for the streaming service and then watching that movie.
VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray sales would offset those losses at the box office. Sometimes physical media sales would be so successful, it would help keep those franchises afloat that might not have succeeded in theaters. Some of these examples will surprise you. Austin Powers, Harold and Kumar, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, The Evil Dead, Clerks, Boondock Saints, all of these films either did modestly or outright flopped in theaters, but still got sequels because the physical home releases did gangbusters.
That's correct. 100% correct.
There's another angle to this too, and we learned this firsthand from an interview with Matt Damon. Production companies were willing to take larger risks on smaller projects.
This is the same thing that's happening with video games right now, right? Same thing is happening with video games.
During the physical media age. Because again, if the movie failed in theaters, DVD releases could push a film over the finish line and break even. Now, this was the original model. Today, the world is extremely different. And whereas the movie business is still about business, it's no more about making products to be sold for direct sales conversion. Or at least that's what all these
Travis says, anyone play Pacific Drive? It's free on PlayStation Extra. Not sure if it's any good. If it's free, why are you even asking? Just try it.
Companies want to get away from. See, when a movie gets released and no one goes to see it, these companies don't make money. That's a loss. They don't break even. They lose millions of dollars. But with streaming, the metrics for defining success changes. The relationship between buyers and sellers changes, and not for the betterment of the buyers. Streaming success is measured in minutes watched, subscriptions maintained, and subscriptions.
Wizard, watch out. There's a dinosaur behind you.
Created. And companies like Netflix care a lot more that you keep your subscription maintained month after month after month. This is partially why they don't call movies movies anymore. Shows aren't shows anymore. They're content, because Netflix.
That's right. It is content. Yeah. Just like they call us consumers, that's content. That's not entertainment, and you're not a customer. You are a consumer, and this is content.
And streamers like it don't need to deliver you movies and shows anymore. They need to deliver you content. They don't care if it's a 4-hour film or a 21-minute episode. It's all content now.
That's correct.
It's all content that can be streamed on a never-ending loop. But again, like, why would companies want it this way? This past October saw one of the worst box office months in nearly 3 decades, bringing in only $425 million in the United States. Well, what were some of the movies to release in October? Roofman, The Smashing Machine, Black Phone 2, Good Fortune. Oh, and Tron Ares. Tron Ares was a legacy.
Right now, Tron Ares bomb at the box office. Terrible. Okay. Wicked has dropped off at the box office big time. Okay, the second part of Wicked. Zootopia is doing well, but majority of the movies that have come out this year have bombed. I know people think Superman made it big, but it didn't make money. Okay. Fantastic Four didn't make money.
IP from Disney and had a production budget estimated to be close to $220 million. That's a lot of money. And after splitting earnings with theaters, for this movie to break even, it needed to generate closer to $450 million in theaters. And it did not. This movie is now.
So let me understand this, Travis. It's because you only have so much time, just like the rest of us. But if it's free, you can download it and play it. If I tell you it's good, right? You're going to play it and make time for it. Just give it a shot and go, oh, you know what? This is actually pretty good. If you like it, you'll make time. If you don't like it, you won't make time.
Now up there with John Carter as one of Disney's greatest financial flops of all time. And that's a shame. Like, as
you're not giving any, you're not paying for anything. It's free. It's like a demo. Think of it as a demo. You play the game like a demo. And if you like it, you keep playing it. And if you don't like it, you stop playing it.
As a Tron fan, whether or not I like the movie, which I didn't, the Tron world is super interesting, and I would have loved to have seen more things from this universe in the future. But after an embarrassment like this, Tron is likely dead forever. This was embarrassing for Disney. This movie wasn't even competing with anything else big in theaters, and it still tanked. which is not a good look. But you apply this movie to a streaming world where theaters and physical media aren't a thing, not a metric to be judged upon, and the truth is, it doesn't matter if people even watch this crap. What matters...
Now, what he just said there is 100% true. It doesn't matter if you watch it or not. There's 1,000 things on there, and let's say everybody that has a Netflix subscription or Disney Plus subscription only watches 1 to 3 shows a month. It doesn't matter. They paid the price for the thing, and if they watch it 100 shows or they watch 1 show, it's the same price. What does that remind you of, chat? What does that remind you of? That everyone tells you that is not successful, but yet people play games off it all the time. Game Pass. It doesn't matter if the games are good or bad, because there are good games on Game Pass. There are shit games on Game Pass. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, because you can play 1 game, you can play 100 games. You're paying the price for what it is, and you get to choose if you want to play 1 game or 5 games or 10 games. They just want you in the ecosystem, giving you the actual, you giving them the money.
Is that people stay subscribed.
That's it. Stay subscribed. Make the games longer. Make the games more grindable, right? Give them enough time to maybe get another game.
Regardless of what is being made or what people are watching. If we look at Stranger Things on Netflix, this show had a 3-year hiatus between releases with nothing in between that time. It aired exclusively on streaming, where people all over the world were able to watch this thing from their living rooms with almost no friction in between them consuming the show. And because of its popularity, it's now the most popular thing in the cultural zeitgeist. And Netflix loves that it's popular, because that means they'll maintain their 300 million subscribers, and anyone who isn't subscribed might be convinced.
I can't do anything about the ads, Doug. I mean, I don't have any ads running. That's Twitch.
Now to subscribe, because the hype around this show is just so big.
The only time you get ads on YouTube is if you come into the stream. After that, there's no ads.
But is Stranger Things the only property being developed right now? Is Stranger Things the only thing Netflix is putting out? No, not at all.
You'll put my kid through college. You're not even putting my kid through a payphone right now. I make absolutely nothing from Twitch.
If we pull up Netflix, we will see Sean Combs' The Reckoning, The Abandons, I don't know what that is, a Matt Rife comedy special, and a whole list of content marked as coming this week, or maybe for your screen, coming soon. No one is talking about any of those other projects. No one cares, really. We don't even know if people are watching that content, but it's there.
It doesn't matter. Actually, I had this conversation with my son yesterday, yeah, right? So he said that they put, I told him about the Ninjago update that's coming to Fortnite. And he goes, oh, well, there was only like 2,000 people playing the last update that they put in for Legos. And I said, why does that matter? He goes, I don't know. It doesn't seem popular. I go, if that number was taken away from that, and you didn't know there was 2,000 people playing, would you know that there's popular or not? He goes, well, no. I go, so why does it matter that there's 2,000 people playing or not? You only can play with 4 people, right? You can only play with 4 people inside that thing. When you're playing a battle royale, you can only play with technically 100 people, even though there's not 100 people in that game. For some reason, right, we as humans, we look at the thing and go, well, this says this, so this is bad because only a certain amount of people are playing this. This is good because there's so many people playing it, right? Same with YouTube, right? The difference between me and someone else is because their number's bigger. So when you go down, it says 900 people watching, you're like, oh, this must be entertaining. You go into a stream with 900 people, and it doesn't really, you're like, okay, this is not really that good, right? Then you go to a place that has 30 people, it might be the exact same type of stuff that you're watching with 900 people, but it's worse because there's only 30 people watching, right? Imagine if we had that watching live television. You're watching Big Bang Theory or Friends back in the day. You're like, oh, there's only 12,000 people watching. It's not good, even though the shows were good.
Someone is watching it. We don't know if it's good or bad, and it doesn't matter. What matters is that there is at least one thing there to keep you subscribed month
That's right.
after
Out
month.
of 1,000 things, one thing keeps you subscribed.
Month after month. It doesn't even need to be good. It doesn't even need to be bad. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters
I've been saying this for so long.
is that there's enough content for you to stay subscribed. Look at that Tron Ares example from earlier. If it hadn't gone to theaters, and maybe if the budget was within reason, if that was dumped onto a streaming platform, I'm not even saying just Disney Plus, but if it was streaming first, more people likely would have seen it in a single day than will ever see this film now.
We literally just talked about that on stream, Travis.
Like, there would have been more demand to watch it at home on the couch on launch day than it will ever be seen after it's come out, failed, and everyone who did see it said it was garbage. That's the streaming advantage. Word of mouth doesn't matter. Direct sales don't matter. Whether you watch something or not really doesn't matter. Sure, if something gets a lot of watch time, they'll keep making more of it, but it changes the conversation for these megacorporations. No longer does Disney or Netflix or anybody have to duck and weave around answering questions in shareholder conferences about why people didn't go see The Little Mermaid or Snow White. Instead, they'll just get to say, our movie got millions and millions of views this quarter.
That's it.
And being able to say that is not only domination of the entertainment marketplace, it's just a control on entertainment.
And they don't have to be truthful with it, right? They can say, well, yeah, it's the #1 watched movie this weekend. It's not a lie, because it's the only thing that came out this weekend, right? So if they had 10 people watch it, or 10,000 people watch it, or 10 million people watch it, them saying that it was the #1 movie at the box office is not a lie. But what that triggers in your head is, oh, it's #1, so that must be good. It must mean a lot of people watched it, right? See, when they want to use the number to tell you it's good, they'll show you. But when they don't want to tell you, they say quiet and then call you names, right? They call you names. Well, if you don't like this, it is popular. Believe us. Trust us, bro. If you don't like it, you're racist. You're sexist, right? But if it is popular, they tell you, but they don't want to tell you the sales numbers. They don't want to tell you the stuff only when it benefits them to make it look like it's better.
Period. I feel like now is a good time to talk about movie theaters. If it isn't already obvious by everything I'm saying here, movie theaters are dead, and they deserve it. Like, the entire theatrical business model is toast, especially with a possible...
It is. It's sad. I'm a huge theater guy. Huge theater guy, right? Not theater like musical theater. Like, I love going to the movies. Love going to the movies. Okay? I've said it. I think the movie industry is not going to go gone completely. It's going to be the record player of the movie industry, right? Where people that want to go watch it will go watch it, but they have to change the fundamental of what theaters are. You can't do the old model anymore. Do you know why people used to go to the theaters back in the day? Okay, they used to go back in the theaters to watch short films, black and white short films, and also get their news. They used to actually put the news in the theater. So you would come in, you would pay your 25 cents to sit down. You would sit down, watch a couple of shorts, and in between, they would show you the news. Okay? That's what theaters were in the beginning. Okay? And then over the time, it's changed to where people would go to the theaters to watch these awesome movies that were there. And now it's just 17 days later, you can watch it in your house.
Netflix Warner Brothers merger. Earlier, I said most people watch Stranger Things with almost no in-between friction. And by that, I mean friction is people don't need to drive to theaters. They don't need to pay to see the film, which means they're not taking a risk on feeling like they lost $100 if the movie turned out to be bad. I quote $100 because that's the average admission for a family to go to a theater. Popcorn and extras could cost up to $40 or more. The floors are sticky, and depending on where you are in the country, the United States, I mean, theaters might be 30 plus minutes away. And you know,
that's true. We take it for granted. Like, I have multiple theaters around my area. It takes me 5 minutes to get to one of my theaters. It takes me another 15 minutes to get to another one. It takes me 20 minutes to get to another one, right? I have like 6 theaters within a 20-minute drive of me, okay? A lot of people don't have that. To go to a theater for some people, it's a trek. It's a time thing. They're like, oh, it's a special event for them.
What? People would still go to theaters if the movies were worth going to see.
Very true. People would go if it was worth it. But a lot of movies are not worth it. And then you might go think a movie is worth it, and you go see it, and you're like, that wasn't worth it. So you don't go to the next one, because you're like, the last one I saw wasn't worth it.
Theater experience might have friction to it, but people would have continued paying for these experiences if the experiences were worth having. Yeah, it's easier to just start watching the movies at home But if you knew that a movie was playing in theaters and that it was going to be really good, you'd make the trip. You'd pay.
Exactly right. And as he says that, I see Empereb says, I drove to see Pacific Rim when I was in the military base, 50 minutes away. It was worth it. Right? Let me rewind what he just said.
Admission playing in theaters and nothing. Yeah, it's easier to just start watching the movies at home. But if you knew that a movie was playing in theaters and that it was going to be really good, you'd make the trip.
You would make the trip. You're like, oh man, you have to see Endgame in theaters. You have to see Jurassic Park in theaters. You have to see certain movies in theaters.
You'd pay the admission price. People still do, a handful anyway. But the content being made now is so weak. It's so mediocre. It's so forgettable. It just doesn't matter where you watch it anymore. Going to theaters isn't special because the content played inside of them isn't special. And for that, theaters deserve to die. The entire...
Agreed. I agree with that. Make a game, sell a game. Make a movie, sell a movie. But you're not making a game and selling a game. You're making a half-ass game. You're making a half-ass movie. Right? Thank God. I mean, they did it to Cats. But thank God they don't have to patch a movie. They did for Cats, by the way. Right? What was that, 5 years ago? They literally patched Cats because it looked weird. So they had to put fur on the actual on the cats or whatever.
Theater business is predicated on Hollywood making movies worth going to theaters to see. They aren't anymore. They're making forgettable, empty-calorie films that seldom incentivize people to have a reason to even care. Here's a good example. I am not a Five Nights at Freddy's guy, but that second film just dropped this past weekend, and I figured I would see it so I could cover it here on the channel. So I decided to watch the first film in preparation. And that movie, which released in 2023, was absolutely terrible, that I was offended that I wasted my damn time.
So he probably didn't go see the second one, right?
And clearly I didn't go see the second film.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'm more extreme than most people, which I know I am. I'm more calculated and probably cynical. I'm much more judgmental about entertainment because I care so much. But I'm an outlier. Many of you watching this are different kinds of outliers too. That's fine. Normies, on the other hand, normal folks, they just don't care anymore because that's what's airing in theaters. So if it's just not good.
Remember that you would go to the theaters, you would just walk up to a theater. You're like, hey guys, what do you want to do today? I don't know. You want to go see a movie? What's playing? I don't know. You would drive to the theater. You would walk up and stare at the thing and go, I'll take whatever at 3 o'clock, please. 2 for 3 o'clock. And you're like, all right, let's go. And you would just go see a movie. There was no like review process ahead of time. There was nothing ahead of time. You just walk up to a theater and go, what's playing? I'll pick that one. 3 o'clock. 2 of us. Let's go. Right? Now it's this long trailer that shows you everything about the movie, and it looks so bad when you see the trailer, okay, that you don't even want to go see the movies. You're like, already saw the movie. I'll wait for that to come on DVD. Or, I'm sorry, I'll wait for that to come on streaming service.
I'll just wait, watch it at home, and save a few bucks. Now, do you think that Netflix is going to inspire their production studios to make better content after this Warner merger is done? Do you think they care? Do you think they give a damn about movie theaters at all? They don't care if things are good or bad. They just care that you stay subscribed. They don't care about creating...
Very true, Quintar. We've talked about that in the past as well, right? Quintar says, costs more to watch a movie at a theater than pre-ordering a collector's edition of a video game, and it's way longer than 2 hours. You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
Sequels and shows that honor beloved legacy IPs, they care that your credit card charges don't stop. And if they keep rolling out show after show and movie after movie, even if it's just so-so, even if it's just enough for you to listen while scrolling on TikTok, that is a victory to them. Streaming is the death of storytelling. It's the end of being required to be creative to win an audience. It's just one more step closer to humanity becoming the chair people from the movie WALL-E.
We ain't far away from that, my friends. This is the future. Mix this with Idiocracy, and there it is. There's the future.
Plugged into a matrix and watching television forever and eating pizza off of pizza trees. Actually, the pizza trees don't sound so bad. Anyway, until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and for the love of God, cancel Disney+. We talked a lot about Netflix today, but the same conversation applies to Disney.
It's across the board. There you go. check out the his video. Links in the description down below. Real life fake wizard. He will be joining us tomorrow night for the Video Game Awards show, along with Greg Owen, the Kingard, myself, and Sarge. So that'll be tomorrow evening, starting at around 7:30 is the pre-show. I think we're going to go live around 7:20 tomorrow night. 7:20 tomorrow night. We're not going over news stories. We're literally just bullshitting and having a good conversation while we watch the Game Awards. I don't know why it got. Who got hit there? Automod held a message. Reason for bullying. Okay, hold on a second. I see your what dog says. It's here already. Fucking idiots who can't put their phones down and watching a big screen in front of them. Yeah, 100%. Tron Eris cost me $100 for 2 people. Did you go to like see like an IMAX plus the popcorn? Yeah, it's expensive. Me and my wife, before she was my wife, okay, when we were dating and originally, okay, we would go to 3 to 4 movies a week. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. We used to pay, it was like $3.50, $4 to go to the movies. And that's all we did. Right? We didn't have a lot, right? But we would go to the movies, like early matinee shows. Okay? We pay $3.50, $4. We go a couple times a week. It was $20 a week, whatever. I mean, we watch movies, right? $20. We would eat beforehand, right? We bring in snacks and whatnot. And we used to go to movies all the time. Okay? Didn't care if a movie was popular. Didn't care. Okay? It was just something for us to do. You just sit in the back. Yeah. So we used to go see a lot of movies. And now we might see maybe 4 a year. Maybe 4 a year. I see more than my wife does. Right? Like I went to go see Fantastic Four by myself in theaters because she had no interest in going. Okay? It used to never be like that. We used to just go to the movies. We didn't care what was playing. We're just like, yeah, let's go see that. The old hot dog trick. I've never done any of that stuff. I don't know what you're talking about, dog. I'm so glad I have a theater at $5. Yeah, we don't have one over here at that low price. We would actually drive further away because there was actually a place that actually had cheaper tickets still for the longest time. Travis says my theater is a movie grill. Last movie I saw was $30 for tickets and food. Thanks reward program. Those reward programs for like AMC and Regal and stuff, some of them are worth it. You pay like $25 a month for like a Game Pass type of thing, and you can see 3 movies up to 3 movies a week, like new movies and stuff. So, Altern says you went to see Fantastic Four because you're a Pedro Pascal fan. You are to tricking anyone, 30. Yeah, I love Pedro Pascal. He's my favorite actor. The good old days. Going to a theater was cheap, easy date. Yeah. Now there's no easy, cheap, easy place to go on a date anymore. Hell, fucking miniature golf costs $15, $20. $30 in some places. All right, so we've gone over quite a bit of stuff here today. Quite a bit of stuff. If you missed any part of the show, you can go rewind it. We'll be back tonight to play some games with Sarge over on 30 and Still Gaming. We'll probably play some more Star Wars tonight. Maybe we'll do some Helldivers. I'm not sure what we'll play, but we're playing something with Sarge tonight. Shooting the shit with Sarge tonight over on 30 and Still Gaming. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the daily grind for more news stories, more conversations. If you like it, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. And then tomorrow evening, Generation X Gaming, a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Join us as it's myself, Sarge, Greg Owen, the real life fake wizard, and the Kingard, as we watch the Video Game Awards, give you our thoughts, sort of like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 type of stuff. We appreciate it very much. I appreciate you. Check out the links down in the description down below, everything we watch, the news stories. If you'd like to go above and beyond, become a member as little as $5. And you listen to our music as well over on all the Spotify, iHeart, and all the other places. Appreciate it very much. And you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Yeah. Have yourself a laggy little Christmas. Let your pink spikes be high. From now on, our matches will be jittery through every in-game sky.
Have yourself a laggy little Christmas. Make the rounds in festive cheer. Gather round with your online party, even if your squad disappears. Have yourself a laggy little Christmas. Check the loot boxes one by one. Try to catch the holiday skins before they vanish, even when the servers weigh a ton.
Through flashing lights and sparkling snow, our avatars glide and fight. But when the frames drop low and the chat freezes, we still laugh through the night.
Have yourself a laggy little Christmas and let your hotkeys click away. Even when your teammate glitches through the wall, we'll keep playing, come what may. Through every event, every winter quest, our latency is put to the test. Yet we dance in the snow, duel in the street, share remotes and holiday beats.
Have yourself a laggy little Christmas. Soon the servers might behave.
But until then we'll fight through the spikes and stutters, playing together, bold and brave. And as your ping rockets to the sky, just smile.